Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you a video out of pettiness. About 2 weeks ago now, I put out a video for AdMech. I was like, hey, y'all confuse me. Why don't you do this, this, and this? I feel like that might get you some more wins. And of the people that were respectful, I appreciate you. There was typical internet things, and you all probably won't see those comments, where there's a lot of just being overly aggressive about some things, and one of those things being the Scorpius Disintegrator, where I made the recommendation, hey, you're already taking enough things in your list that are either anti-vehicle or just straight up strength 12. Do you really need to do that with the Disintegrator too, when this could be indirect fire? And, you know, looks like somebody tried out my idea. Now, again, hey, not saying that my video reached these people, this person in particular. I'm just saying it looks like there's already been results in a very surprising manner with something so many of you told me should not work. So here I am to go, huh, isn't that funny? Now, I usually try not to cover lists or things that I see other people do, especially when it's not my main faction. I'm a Tyranids player over here. But I should say I wouldn't have known that this gas hammer Con placing for AdMech happened if I did not happen to see Tactical Tortoise's video. Um, as you can see 4 hours ago, AdMech won a 40k GT with no detachment. And of course, I go, damn, did somebody make a list error? What the fuck happened there? Um, you got me. Not to say it's whatever, but, click the video. And then I look at it, and I'm like, wow, this is even better than I would have imagined of an I told you so. Now, the detachment, not necessarily the call I would have made, but I do really like to caution some people playing a certain faction, like, hey, I don't want you to end up like GSC or something like that, where you look at the book, you go, this is terrible, then somebody finally does it. And funny enough, uh, the leaders of innovation for finding gold where everybody else sees rubbish seems to be Australia. Because if I remember correctly, my same argument with GSC is like somebody finally picked up Outlander Claw. It turns out the GSC Codex is good, and then it gets buffed, and then everybody cries, and so on and so forth. But here we are back in Australia, finding use out of Cohort Cybernetica and Scorpius Disintegrators with Belarus energy cannons. They are blast indirect fire 2d6 hitting on 4s. You can't hit on better than 4s with indirect fire anymore. Um, Strain 7, AP2 damage 1. Blistering salvos if you do this into infantry plus 1 to hit. And because if now I will say that video I made and some of you all went in depth and told me to break out why some things are not what they are. Told me like, hey, we don't really switch back and forth in imperatives anymore. That's kind of old news, if ever news, right? So you all did say that you kind of lean into one. Now, to that point though, I will say if you happen to find yourself in Conqueror and around some battle line, bumping up the AP kind of offsets the cover situation, so you're looking at AP2 still. And we'll talk about some more about why I say the Scorpius Disintegrator with another piece of the puzzle. But for that, to again address some of the more aggressive people, and mind you, again, you probably won't see those comments because I've kind of told my community, look, I'm too old for this shit. I'm trying to keep the vibes around here. If people get way too out of pocket, I'm just getting rid of the comments. So if you go looking for them, you probably won't find them. I'm too old for this shit. But I'm not too old to make a video. That way, if they look at this video and go, well, I guess I owe him an apology, there you go. They won't do it though. But one of the main things is that, oh, why would I put 175 points back there for indirect fire? Because everybody fucking does it, and the fact that it's outside of guard, it's some of the cheapest shit. Exorcist, 210 points. Plague Burst Crawler, 180. Night Spinner, now, we'll talk about the deeper discussion on this one, but it is 190. Now, going to the Exorcist, the two possibilities are the missile launcher indirect fire, D6 plus 2, hitting on, again, indirect, we're going to just say hitting on 4s for indirect, okay? Strength 10, AP 3, damage D6. Uh, and you can trigger Battle Shock test. Whatever, fine. Are you going to go for the max of possibly 8 attacks? Possible max of 12. Right, we can do math over here. Strength 10 is good, AP 3 is good as well. D6 means sometimes you can spike. That's good, right? Still pretty decent. Trigger a Battle Shock test on top of that. But outside of that, you only have that gun and a heavy bolter. We look over here to the Scorpius Disintegrator. You have 3 Cognis Heavy Stubbers and the Disruptor Missile Launcher to fall back on outside of that. You can switch out the missile launcher for the Conflagration Rockets, and that's Blast, Ignores Cover, Indirect Fire, 3d6, hitting on 4s, Strength 6, AP 1, Damage 1. 1 less AP, 1 less Strength. Now, both of those decent, trigger some Battle Shock tests, not like you're playing Chaos Knights where that matters a lot, but it's helpful. So, if Sisters could do it, and mind you, they saw some increases, but mind you, that's because they kept fucking taking them. And you're looking at 175. Going over here to Nurgle, 180, 5-point difference, again with some Battle Shock test bullshit, versus Infantry, Plague Burst Mortar, Blast, Indirect Fire, lethal hits. That's important. More range, D6 plus 3, and on 4s, Strength 8, AP 1, damage 2. So again, looking at the AP, and if you doing the indirect fire, you go to this cover situation, you're looking at AP 0, so you really want the lethal hits to kick in. Max of 9 shots compared to max of 12. Now, again, we've seen them do this, right? These are armies that we've seen bring these a lot in their list. So to say that putting indirect fire for 175 points somewhere while still able to fall back on 4 other guns, kind of insane, right? Comparatively. Now the Night Spinner, I put it up here because I just should have the conversation of another famous indirect fire weapon, or one that was pretty up there during this edition at one point in time. There's been price adjustments, there's been indirect fire adjustments to the rules. So it just goes to say that yeah, the Night Spinner is here, but even now that is less of a threat. It's still 190 points. The monofilament web. If Eldari figure out that this is some place somehow in the new codex, I'd worry for it coming back out where you can reduce movement and charge rolls all over again. But we'll see on that. Now, going further to what I talked about with the Disintegrator one step further. A thing that we see in this list is something that I'm like, hey, while we're being upsetty spaghetti about not bringing indirect fire, you should also probably bring Cawl for this. Now, this is what I imagine happens. So, Alexander, if you find this and you tell me, hey, that's not how I used Cawl, I understand. I appreciate you going in depth, whatever, if you find this video, right? Or you could tell me, fuck off, I got everything wrong, and I'll leave it up, and, there's that too. Uh, it'll work out, some knowledge will be spread somehow. If it ends up me being stupid, that works too. But with Cawl, right? Cawl has aura of reroll hit rolls of 1. For 135 points, turns into a lone op when next to an AdMech unit. So, if Cawl is next to some things that are indirect firing, 2d6 rerolling hit rolls of 1 doesn't sound too bad around Cawl. Right, doesn't sound too bad, and if anybody gets too close, then Cawl can actually beat him with a stick or some shit. Now, again, there was a lot of conversation, and I understood some of the reasons. I think there's still some things that I admit I'm still shaky on because like the logic just doesn't track to me still. But hey, if you all promise that's how it goes, that's how it goes for you all. But I'm just saying, doing the same thing all edition and not getting different results isn't going to get you different results. So, the Scorpius Disintegrator and maybe Cawl, maybe consider putting it in a list, especially when it can be in a detachment. Let's talk about, sorry to kind of spoil the video, technical tortoise a little bit, but it's in Cohort Cybernetica. the fucking detachment rule says, hey, casting robots and the fucking, uh, what's his face? The Cybernetica Datasmith get access to imperatives. So now I understand what the video reference was to, right? But why would they be over here? Well, there's some other things in the list, but I do want to talk about the fact that with auto divinatory targeting, until the start of your next command phase, one Legio Cybernetica or AdMech vehicle unit from your army and one objective marker. Until the start of your next command phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit have a BS characteristic of 3 up and ignores cover, but they can only target units within range of the selected objective marker. Ignores cover, AP2, possibly AP3. Indirect fire, rerolling ones, possibly next to Cawl, will lift things off of points, especially if you have 2d6 twice over, right? That's a minimum of 4 shots, but a maximum of 24. I guess I'm getting a lot of notifications. Sorry about that. So I'm just saying, just saying. Now, mind you, this is models in that one specific unit, but I'm just saying that at least one of them can get 2d6 ignores cover onto the point. All right, so it doesn't feel as bad that second time around. The other thing is Mispin's Spirit Resurgent lets you go up and play except besides just sitting next to Cawl with some of the vehicles. So mind you, if you aren't um, sitting the disintegrator right next to Cawl and you are no, I'd imagine this is for another part, but we'll talk about that. If you are below starting strength, you can get reroll hit rolls of 1. If you're below half strength, you can get reroll wound rolls in full, right? So there's that. Um, and going to the list, right? Let's actually look at the list again because the other thing is there's a lot of infantry in the AdMech vehicle detachment here. So when people always talk about things that can and can't work, I think maybe you just gotta get a little bit crazy every now and again in true Cawl fashion. So you got Sidonian Scatrosses, we'll talk about those two, Engine Seers, Rangers, Vanguard, Ballistarii, Skystalkers, Raiders, Infiltrators, Disintegrators. That's it. So out of this entire list, the vehicles are Ballistarii and Disintegrators. So I think it's safe to say that maybe, just maybe, the book maybe might have some more play. And let's just look over real quick. Some of the other things that came to play: Space Wolves, CSM, Astra Militarum, Sisters, Chaos Knights, Space Wolves, Eldari, Tyranids, Death Guard, Eldari, Death Guard, Astra Militarum. So, like, there's some things to be said. And mind you, this is a 24-player GT. And then there's where you get the comments. You're like, oh, anything could win a GT. All right, go do it. Go do it. Go do it. So, um, shout out to Alexander again. Congrats on the win, and thank you for very quickly proving one of those theories out of that video semi-correct. There's other things. I think I said Halo's Creed still better, but hey, maybe Cohort Cybernetica might be a play. But going further into the list, I want to talk about some of the other things too. Ironstrider Ballistarii. Why waste your time in Cohort Cybernetica? Well, they have elevated Strider. This unit is eligible to shoot in a turn in which it fell back or advanced, and you can reroll Desperate Escape tests for models in this unit. And going to the list of, again, this is one of the things that I was struggling to figure out. Why are we bringing so many Ballistarii, and then the Ferromite Cannons, and an Honor Dragoon Crawler, or something, or a combination of those? Now, I was corrected by some of the comments that, like, hey, we're not bringing all of them all the time. And I'm like, no, I'm looking at this list right now. So here goes Alexander's list again, kind of reinforcing both a thing that I was questioning and what you all were telling me in the comments. This is a perfect fusion of those, where I'm like, hey, you're already bringing so many fucking last can shots to deal with that profile. Do you really still need to make this a Ferromite cannon, right? And in this case, no, you kind of don't. But going to the Ironstrider Ballistarii, as you can see, all equipped with las cannons. So sustained hits 1, 2 attacks, hitting on 4, strength 12, AP 3, D6 plus 1. With bricks of them, 225 points, 3 models, that's 6 shots. sustained hits 1, strength 12, AP 3d6 plus 1. That's pretty decent. And the ability to shoot, advance and shoot for strength 10 vehicle walkers with smoke, T7, save of a 3 up, 5 up invo, and 7 wounds. That's pretty decent. But going back to Cohort Cybernetica, it gets even better when you have Motive Imperative. 1 AdMech vehicle unit from your army until the start of your next command phase. Add 3 to the move characteristic of models in your unit, and 1 to advance and charge rolls made for it. So, you're getting an additional 4 inches of move for 1 command point with the ability to advance and shoot. You're getting assault on 6 las cannon shots with sustained hits 1. That 14 inches of movement for that is pretty damn good. And pop smoke if you get a little bit too silly and the thing didn't go. But I think at that point some things should go. Next up, I want to talk about the Tech-Priest. Now, of course, you're going to take Tech-Priest when you're taking vehicles more often than not. So it's not just the fact that you can give back heal up the wounds and 5 up feel no pain to a particular model, so that gets kind of tricky. But I want to talk about the enhancement that we see in the list. And it's a filthy enhancement, really. Necromechanic. So, we see for 25 points Tech-Priest model only once per battle round. When a saving throw made for a friendly Legio Cybernetical or AdMech vehicle model within a foot of the bearer is failed, the bearer can use this enhancement. If they do, change the damage characteristic of that attack to 0. Ooh-wee. Just blank once per battle round. That's pretty good. And I would imagine, hey, I'm just saying, it would be probably pretty good when you only really have to worry about one phase and one angle for damage on those things. What do I mean by that? If you have 2 things that are shooting indirect fire, probably concealed somewhere, they're probably not taking damage from being shot anytime soon. If they magically make their way to charging you, then yeah, that's one phase per se. But if that indirect fire is putting out and clearing up things that would have tried to make a charge into some of your other shit, uh, your thing that only had to worry about getting shot in that battle round, blank the damage. Like 1 of the damage, right? So that's pretty decent for 25 points. And again, Tech-Priest can become lone op when they're next to vehicles. So you have Cawl, you have Tech-Priest Engine Seers. Sorry, not Tech-Priest. I should have said Engine Seers. You have Engine Seers and Cawl. That are becoming lone op next to vehicles. 2 of those vehicles are indirect fire, and 3 units of those vehicles have 14-inch movement, advance, and advance and shoot. Yeah, I think so. And apparently, the lone up in the list doesn't stop there. You also have Sidonian Skatros, which everybody considers a bit of a fucking meme, but this is the other thing where, again, I want to thank not only Alexander, but apparently Australia, where when it's a codex that people are not really trying, the wonky shit that ends up being decent enough that everybody else writes off comes from Australia. The GSC codex, oh no, it doesn't work. I'm pretty sure I remember Australia being the ones to do Outlander Claw. Oh, Scintillating Legion, Zinc Demons is black, can't work. Pretty sure, again, that came out of Australia. If I'm misremembering, please tell me in the comments. But yeah, shout out Australia, I guess. So, Sidonian Skatros with Radium Giselles. Makes sense, right? Just want to double check. Yeah, Radium Giselles. And the Mechanicus Pistol, right? But the Radium Giselles, anti-infantry 3-up heavy precision. Dread snipers in your shooting phase after this model has shot. Select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks. Must take a battle shock test. Aquilin Eye. Each time this model makes an attack with a Radium Giselle that targets an infantry unit, you can reroll the wound roll. So, you are targeting infantry units with precision, heavy, hitting on 3, so you're probably hitting on 2s, and rerolling the wound with anti-infantry 3 up, again precision. And you know what? I'm gonna take it one step further on being an ass. Bum, 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 bum. Um, Anti-infantry 3 up precision. So for strength 5, AP 2, damage 3, there's a good chance that you can lift the characters leaders of units, right? There's a good chance of that anti-infantry 3 up. And why do I mean I'm going to take it one step to be an ass? So I've been having a Rust Stalker conversation, and I'm just going to say once again, I understand. I heard you while you're using devastating wounds. I understand. We all love devastating wounds. But if you're telling me that there might be a chance that you're having harder times with elite infantry, you might want the anti-infantry 3 up precision. I'm just saying. I'm just saying if it's worth investing Sidonian Scatrosses, maybe that's the way. But seriously though, loan up Sidonian Scatrosses, loan up Engine Seers, loan up Cawl, indirect fire, and a shit ton of other bodies. Yeah, that looks like a pretty thought out list. And this is also the thing that you all did tell me in that video in the comments, where some of the lists, if the ones that I was initially commenting on, like, hey, why are you bringing so many things that are tailored just to hit strength 12, right? We're like, I don't, that we probably shouldn't be doing that. That's kind of the takeaway from that. And as you can see, even in Cohort Cybernetica, it probably works out that way that you probably shouldn't be doing that, right? You probably should be looking for a mix of Skystalkers, Raiders, Infiltrators, like shit like that, and of course the battle line because you're playing AdMech, so you want your army rule to work eventually, right? But even to something that is tailored to this, you aren't skewing that heavily into it. This could easily have been okay. Looking at points, it could not have been, but I was going to say it could have been a unit of Castellan robots, but it doesn't look like that would have been possible points wise. And shit like that. So, I don't know, it could have been, instead of Ironstrider Ballistarii, this could have been an entire army of walkers, right? You have two more fucking versions of walkers. This could have been, I mean, honestly, it could have been the Dune Crawlers too. Shit, it could have been the Dune Crawlers. Uh, Radium Giselles, while we're talking about Radium Giselles and Taser Lances, could have been Doom Crawlers that cough neutron laser cough. Could have been that uh, in this list, but instead filled up some more things. Cerberus Raiders came out instead of even Sulfur Hounds. And we saw Sulfur Hounds pop up before. Radium Giselles. I mean, hell, apparently, uh, it's better to have the Sidonian Scatros for this situation. I mean, yeah, ignores. Sorry, loan up is probably better than five. It is 5 points cheaper, so I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying. It has focus hunters at the start of the battle. Select one unit from your opponent's army until the end of the battle. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack that targets that unit, you can reroll the hit. Yeah, I mean, this is just straight up worse than the Sidonian Scatros. I can understand. I can understand. Taser Lance's anti-walker 2 up, but it has Lance's sustained hits too. So we could be looking at a list that has Taser Lance's Lance sustained hits 2, 12 attacks, Lance sustained hits 2. Actually, it doesn't sound too bad for, again, advanced fallback and charge. I don't know. This could have been a Walker list all the way through and through. Uh, But again, from what you all were talking about in the comment section, you probably still don't want to do that, even though it looks pretty tasty. That looks pretty tempting to me. Um, for all funs and games, right? But yeah, I had to immediately, of course, fly back onto the YouTube and go, wait a minute. I thought y'all told me I was dumb. Looks like I'm not that dumb. So, again, if things aren't working, sometimes try some new shit. You might be surprised. So, yeah. If you like the video, like it. Got a comment from me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.